Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to another Q&A session. So without wasting any time, I've got a bunch of questions to get through today. I don't think I'll get through all of them just because I want to save some questions for next week. But if anyone wants to go ahead and ask me a question, the very first link in the description will take you to this website. You don't even have to sign up, and you can pretty much go ahead and ask me a question, and it will be answered on video. So like I said before, let's just get into the very first question of the day, which comes from Trent Dooster. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but he pretty much asks, what is your opinion on Mr. Satan? Now, I have very mixed feelings for Mr. Satan because in one aspect, I feel like he ruined the World Martial Arts Tournament because back in the Dragon Ball days, the World Martial Arts Tournament, they used to be the best thing ever. They used to be the climax of the entire series, but now with Mr. Satan, he has pretty much ruined the World Martial Arts Tournament, and I don't think we can ever have a legitimate World Martial Arts Tournament ever again, at least on Earth. As a warrior, I don't like Mr. Satan just because he's cocky, he's arrogant, he thinks he is the best, which in some aspects he is. That's relating back to my How Strong is Mr. Satan video that I made. But as a character, I do like Mr. Satan. I am glad that he's in Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, moving on to the next question, which is again from Trent, and he pretty much asks, why didn't Piccolo move Gohan out of the way from Nappa's blast? Now, all I can say for this is that it is a massive inconsistency. Like, there's no reason he couldn't have. I mean, I believe TFS even brought that up in their Abridged series, and they were pretty much just making fun of the fact that, Piccolo could have done that and lived. However, if he did that, that could have messed up the entire timeline. You see, if you just change one small thing, that could have messed up the entire timeline, and, everything could have been screwed. So I believe everything happens for a reason in Dragon Ball Z, and, that maybe just happened for a reason. Moving on to the next question, what was Chi-Chi's reasoning in being so hard on Gohan and ruining him? She used to fight at the World Martial Arts Tournament, for example. I mean, yeah, honestly, I'm just throwing it out there. I never liked Chi-Chi. I hated how she did that to Gohan. But, Chi-Chi, yeah, she used to fight at the World Martial Arts Tournament, but I think something must have happened to her in the transition from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z. In those 5 years, something must have happened to her to make her feel like, she doesn't want her son to grow up to be a fighter. So yeah, I don't like Chi-Chi for doing that, and it doesn't make much sense considering her father was a martial artist. She was technically one of the most skilled martial artists on the planet. Her husband was a martial artist. Why don't you want your son to be a martial artist, Did she look at Goku over the years and sort of like form a angry opinion about him? I don't know. So yeah, thank you for the question, man. But now moving on to the very next question, which is again from Trent Dooster. He's asked a lot of questions today, guys. But he pretty much asks, why do so many people love Broly? So I recently went back and watched the first Broly movie, and it was very good. It was actually very interesting to go back and watch it because I haven't watched it for a very long time. And pretty much for those of you who forget or just don't know, Broly's father, Paragus, actually wanted to rebuild the Saiyan race on Earth. And honestly, that's a very good storyline that I kind of wish they redid that in a canon aspect. But I think that's the main reason that drew a lot of people into Broly, along with him just being the legendary Super Saiyan that even Vegito is scared of. And overall, I just think it comes down to that. People love the idea of a legendary Super Saiyan. So thanks for that question, man. Now moving on to one of your other questions, which is more scary, saltwater crocodile or great white shark? Now, honestly, for me, it's great white shark because a crocodile is nothing. The only way you're going to be put face to face with a great white shark is if you're in the middle of the ocean. And if you're in the middle of the ocean, I mean, you can't really do anything. Saltwater crocodiles, they're usually in swampy areas. And, swampy areas you can kind of stand up and like run away. And, grey white sharks, their teeth and their eyes and just their whole face, it really, that's one of my fears. Like, if I ever get stranded out in the Pacific Ocean, I don't know what I would do, because I'd be scared that sharks were going to come and kill me. So for me, great white shark. Now moving on to the next question, which is, why do Australians think Vegemite tastes so good? It makes me gag. Now, honestly, this is a very interesting question because all the videos that I've seen online from people tasting Vegemite, they do it wrong. They don't make it right. They take bread out of the fridge, they take the slice of bread and put it on a plate and just put a whole bunch of Vegemite over the bread. They don't have butter, they don't have toasted bread. That would taste bad, honestly. If you had it like that, it would taste bad. You're meant to take the tiniest bit of Vegemite and just spread it across toast. That doesn't taste that bad. Now, I'm not the biggest Vegemite fan in the world, but I can tolerate the taste. It actually, I used to have it all the time when I was growing up. But I definitely can see why other cultures don't like it. I mean, if you're unfamiliar to the taste, you obviously won't like it. And if you have a big spoonful of Vegemite, obviously that's not going to taste good. Now, moving on to the next question, which is, do you think if Vegito stayed fused, he would have enough power to beat Beerus? Honestly, if Vegito never unfused, they couldn't beat Beerus, in my opinion. Just think about it, because Beerus would come to Earth, because Vegeta and Goku would be one person. I don't think Vegeta would be up at King Kai's place. I think he would be on Earth. And since they wouldn't have the requirements to actually become a god, Vegeta wouldn't be able to turn into the Red Super Saiyan God. Because if Vegeta was a Red Super Saiyan God, then yes, he could beat Beerus. If Vegeta was a Blue Super Saiyan God, which I like to call Super Saiyan God, then yes, he could beat Beerus and potentially Whis, but that's a whole nother debate. I don't think Vegito could beat him in Super Saiyan 1. I don't think he could beat him in Super Saiyan 2. And you think that he could beat him in Super Saiyan 3. I personally disagree. And here's why. It's very obvious at this point that gods have their own separate ki. There's God ki and there's human ki. You don't need to be a god to be able to beat a god. But you do need to be a god to be able to sense their life, presence their energy. So Beerus has the advantage in that aspect of the fight. I do think that their power level would be very similar. I do think Beerus would be slightly higher if he went all out. I do think Vegito could potentially win if the circumstances were right. Because maybe if he got up in Beerus and he somehow got a surprise attack and he unleashed 100% of his Super Saiyan 3 powers into a blast, maybe he could beat Beerus. But other than that, he wouldn't be able to sense Beerus. He might have enough energy to be able to beat him, but other than that, Beerus has so many more advantages than Vegito. He's a god. He can actually sense Vegito's energy, because Vegito would not be able to sense Beerus's energy. So if they were to fight, it would be very interesting, but overall, I do think Beerus would take the win. So now, moving on to the next question, which is, who do you think is better looking, Chi-Chi or Bulma? Who would you rather marry in regards to their personality and skills? Okay, so honestly, if these were real people, I would have to say Bulma was more attractive than Chi-Chi. I just don't find Chi-Chi very attractive, and part of that is because Chi-Chi, what she did to Gohan was just so frustrating in terms of his potential. And just look at the way Chi-Chi treats Goku. I mean, a prime example is when they fought the Saiyans and Goku was lying dead on the ground. Chi-Chi just paid no notice to him, and I would not want to be married to someone like that. That kind of personality is just scary. So for both of your questions, I would have to say Bulma and Bulma. Now, moving on to the next and final question of today's video. Do you think that Goku would have stayed married to Chi-Chi if he had fused with Gohan instead of Vegeta? And when I first read this question, I was just thinking to myself, oh my god, I've never ever thought about that. I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure Quaman brought this up in one of his videos, but that was a long time ago when I watched it, and I kind of want to give my own thoughts on what would potentially happen. So thank you to whoever asked this question. It actually said anonymous, so I'm not too sure who asked this question. If you're watching this video, please leave a comment so I can actually see who you are. So if Goku became Gokhan, which is the most commonly accepted name for the fusion between Goku and Gohan, would they stay married to Chi-Chi? Now, I would actually love to see how this would play out. I personally don't think they would stay married because Goku is Gohan and Gohan being married to Chi-Chi is just weird. But could you imagine the look on Chi-Chi's face when they come home and they break the news to Chi-Chi? Could you imagine Chi-Chi's reaction? Oh my god, I would pay to see that. I would pay infinite amounts just to see that. But to actually answer the question, I don't think that they would stay married to Chi-Chi just because that would be incredibly weird. And honestly, the only person who would suffer from this is Chi-Chi. Goku doesn't really love Chi-Chi. He was kind of guilted into marrying her because Goku thought the word marry actually was some kind of food, and he just said, yes, I'll try that next time. So yeah, I feel like they'd have to get some sort of official divorce going on because I just can't see that happening. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this week's questions of the week. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And once again, if you do want to end up on this sort of series that I am doing, feel free to ask me any sort of questions you want. They can be DBZ related, they can be anything related. I don't mind. Just make sure if you want to ask questions, you actually go ahead and ask questions. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you, of course, in the next Dragon Ball Z video.